Okay, we are getting ready to start a panel discussion with the theme What is Awakening? And I'm Gloria. I'm one of the producers of Yoga Festival, and I would love to welcome you all here into the festival and also to this panel discussion. Lovely to have you here. And I would love to also introduce our speakers. So here in my left, we have Swami Sharada. And next to Swami, there is Helena Nymark. And next to Helena, we have Emilia Vaskokujala or Chakat Prem. And next to Emilia is sitting Pete Ruikka. And next to Pete, Viivisyandini Jokela. So all of these 5 speakers that we have here today, they have personal experience regarding awakening. And this is, of course, a super interesting theme. What is spiritual practice for? What is yoga practice for? What is the core reason why we want to practice different kind of traditions or methods? So I would love to hear, first of all, if all of you could introduce yourself shortly and also just say a few words about what does awakening mean to you? What do you mean with this term? And maybe who like to start? Anyone spontaneously wanting to begin? Swami, please.
Jai Gurudev. So nice to be here. Thanks, first of all, for the organization of such an event. It's great to be among the spiritual seekers and also among the people who can share the experience and knowledge about both spirituality and yoga and awakening. So my name is Swami Sharada. I present international movement Bhakti Marga. It's founded by God-realized Master Paramahamsa Vishwananda, and we have 2 traditions. One is a Hindu tradition, Vaishnava tradition. So this is our religious path. That's why I look a little bit different in comparison to everyone around. And the second one is Atma Kriya Yoga tradition of Mahavatar Babaji.
Do you want just to say, maybe in one sentence, what is awakening?
So actually, awakening is in our understanding of our tradition and my personal experience, it's actually undeniable process of self-realization and God-realization in the end. So it's a part which everyone sooner or later in this life or any other life definitely will face, will go through, and you cannot avoid it. So just it's a good news actually for everyone. Just be ready that one time when you will be ready, we'll talk about that. It will come and will change your life inside and outside.
So we could say awakening is unavoidable destiny for all of us.
Yes, right, exactly, yeah.
Thank you. I think that was quite, I wouldn't want to say optimistic, but very comforting. So my name is Helena Nymark, and I had my initial awakening experience in 2016. And I've been practicing ever since then on purifying my mind and my body. From the perspective where I talk about awakening, it's about peeling away layer after layer of conditioned mind, self-based confusions, behavioral patterns that prevent you from actually realizing the full potential that lies within yourself. So we all have that potential, and once we see through that solid illusion of us as the center of our perception, that's when the awakening happens.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying that awakening is this gradual peeling away of confusions or layers of the sense of separation.
I would say that that's actually the spiritual path, but it starts or the awakening experience is the first big shift on that path. And that's when the kind of separate self drops away. And after that, it's a deepening and further deepening of it, of the selfless. Yeah.
Thank you.
So hello, Satnam, everybody. I am Emilia Jagatprem, and I come from a Finnish modern contemporary spiritual school called Kehtokoulu, or in English that would be the Cradle School. In Kehto, we are a non-dogmatic spiritual school, so we are in the lineage of Gurdjieff and the Fourth Way, looking for the pathless path. But according to these times, we need really many tools for awakening and liberation, enlightenment. And one of the tools we use in Kehto is Kundalini Yoga. So I am also a Kundalini Yoga teacher and a teacher trainer. And for me, awakening happens in many places. It's not just one awakening. Gurdjieff says that people have three brains. So your belly needs to awaken, your heart needs to awaken, and your brain needs to awaken. And it's very different in all those parts. And also, I believe that awakening is a start. It's a starting point. And maybe after awakening, there comes realization. And if you are very committed, very lucky, maybe even after realization, there comes actualization, and you are able to live the truth of that initial awakening. I'm so happy and honored to be here. Such a great thing that we can talk about something like this here.
So one thing that I hear you say, which I also think is relevant, is that when we speak about awakening, or if we would speak about enlightenment, it's not like a one event. It's not something that happens or doesn't happen, but it's much more a process. We could speak about process awakening that has different kind of stages, has different kind of phases perhaps, and we can go more deeply into this in a minute. But
Wonderful.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Ruikka. I'm a practitioner, student, teacher of Shakta Yoga, or more specifically Kaula Yoga. And what is awakening? That's a big question. Sometimes it feels like it's some sort of a mystery veil is put on like a label is put on the awakening subject. And there was many great points already given here. It's like, I think, for me at least, it's realizing that you have these sort of illusory aspects in your life, and it's okay to drop them and be a decent human being, and to understand that you have a potential, and you have a choice to realize the potential. And yeah, the peeling of the onion is something. It's like a nice expression of what to do there. And yeah, definitely it's a process, just like you said. Yeah, and it's good to have tools. Yeah.
yeah, so at the same time, we speak about the fact that awakening is a process, it's our unavoidable destiny. And you also point out to the fact that it's something mysterious. And I also just want to mention or say or bring forth that it's not like there's oftentimes this idea that enlightenment or awakening is just for few very, very special people somewhere, maybe in India, who knows. And I would also really like to hear all of your points of view, and maybe Vivi's point of view next, that about the fact that is awakening really something so far, or is it actually closer than close?
So my name is Vivi. Sometimes I go by the name Siandini, which means she who flows. So awakening is what you are. There's no possibility of being anything other. It's so primary to what you are right now and what you always have been that, that's why it's not recognized, because the mind is looking for something that it can get a hold on. It's looking for something that it can see, something that it can perceive. That's the movement of the seeking mind. And it can never get a grasp of this. This is so, preceding all kind of conceptualization. This is preceding the thinking mind. It's so immediately present, like right now, right now, right now, right now. This is it, this is it, this is it. And that which is registering this experience without any interpretation about it, that is it. And I could call it awakening, but it doesn't really mean anything, right? Because it's just a word. I could call it your true nature. I could call it the unconditioned, something unborn, undying, something that has not been created, something that is absolutely spontaneously present, just like this, effortlessly, naturally. And that's what you are. So from that point of view, there is no process, there's no transformation. And what you are is perfect clarity. So there's never been any confusion about it. There appears to be this confusion, identification with the mind stream and this whole virtual reality of being a person, moving in time, navigating the world. But underneath that, there's crystalline clarity. What you are already is awake. And awakening is just when that becomes kind of consciously known, that which already is the case.
So putting these perspectives together, we can speak about stages or phases of awakening. It's not like one thing and one thing only. And at the same time, Vivi, you're pointing to the fact that it's what we already are. So it's already present. So then, are there barriers to the conscious experience of what you are, or what we call now awakening? And if yes, what would be the main barriers for this conscious experience of it?
So the process that Vivi was talking about, the barriers of actually perceiving and experiencing the full present moment, they're basically, we are standing in our own way. We're looking out, we're seeking, we're not looking in. Because we have, I'm pretty sure that everybody here has a sense that something might be off, that they're looking for something. You're a seeker because you have this nagging sense, because you know what we was talking about, that's actually, you recognize that there's this familiar feeling. And then what kind of stands in your way of experiencing it is the whole conditioned mind, and that you're not looking in the right place. You're focusing most often on that you need to, I think you said, asked that, is it already there? Yes, it's already in us, just like Vivi said. You don't need to go to Bali on a retreat or trek India for a year or two to find yourself. I mean, it's a beautiful experience, but basically it all boils down to that you have the full potential in yourself. And once you understand that the kind of solidity of your own experience of yourself is actually the root knot, after that you can address the following layers and unpeel the onion.
What would the other speakers say? What would be, and what are the main barriers, if there are such things?
Yeah, I'd say that there are barriers because Sometimes I feel awake, sometimes I don't feel awake. And sometimes my neighbor doesn't feel awake and I feel awake. So there are barriers, we can't, that is the reality. And then I would like to also point to that point that reality also is reality even though it's not awake. So also the unawakened states are reality. So they are not so bad, they're just unawakened. And maybe there is more suffering there. And the whole thing of having this big goal of awakening, I'd say that is the biggest barrier to awakening, that you want to awaken. So just acceptance, I think, would be something that we could dwell in or be in, and that would somehow melt this imaginary barrier. So it's not so bad to be unawakened. And like Swami said, it will eventually awaken. There is no doubt to that.
About the barriers, a few things coming to my mind. First of all, for awakening, I could use the terms dhyana, which is often translated as meditation, but I think it's more like seeing this here now very clearly. And dharma is a nice term for awakening as well. You're living your true nature. But then back to the barriers. One of the best teachings I've ever had is a person should live as a timeless being, because we are often attached to this time, to the culture of this time, all the things that are happening right now, today. And we are very attached to these kind of things. And these things are things that are going to be different in 3 years, in 5 years, in 8 years. So being a timeless being, it's I think that's something, just sit on it and think about it. I think it's a very valuable teaching there. And yeah, I had another thing in mind, but maybe it comes out later.
Thank you. So being flowing as a timeless being, I like that. It's a nice thing to take with us from here. Swami, you have something you want to say?
Yes, answering the question about the barriers, it's possible to say there are many or there is none. So the only one reality, as it is said, is again, as per our tradition, there is only love. We can call it unconditional love or prem, and we have here Jagat Prem is with cosmic love. So the highest love is why in Sanskrit there are many terms to say about love, or it's God. So that's why Guruji says just love, just love. It means there's no barrier because there's just love. But from another side, there's plenty of them. And I will add some more Sanskrit terms: indriyas, samskaras, karma, and we're talking about the things, attachments we have in this physical world, which is happening outside. And we cannot avoid it. We cannot close our eyes and senses. We interact all the time. But in Vaishnava tradition, there is a way how you use these all instruments. The whole life is given not to be lost here in this material world, but really to use whatever you have, your body, your mind, your senses, to serve God, because love comes only when you act, you express this love. That's why when you understand that whatever barrier you have can be also an instrument in your hands to realize the highest, then life becomes like, an opportunity, but not really an obstacle on the spiritual path.
Thank you, Swami. You want to add something to this topic still, Vivi?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I loved every answer so far. And I definitely agree that the obstacles are the path. Yeah, so I could say many things to what's the barrier, or if there is barrier at all. It's a kind of paradox because both is true. There is no barrier at all, and at the same time there seems to be this massive barrier, and it's sometimes referred to as the gateless gate this paradox, right? But what I feel to say right now is that one of the greatest barriers is spirituality. So why would I say that? Well, because awakening is not really spiritual thing, okay? It's awakening to reality, which means waking up from absolutely everything your sense of self is made from. So if you happen to be a spiritual person and have a spiritual practice, if you have a really, really deep awakening, you will wake up from that eventually. Even if that was part of your awakening process, even if that was a tool and asset on the way. Eventually, all of that, it's going to go. This awakening to your true nature is going to shatter every single bit of what you thought you were and what you thought that everything really is. So it's a very powerful realization like that. And if we think that awakening is something spiritual, there is this danger to kind of expect an experience, like a mystical experience or a powerful spiritual opening, whatever we associate with that. And then you miss this very simple, open, natural presence that is not something spectacular, that is always there, so, naturally and immediately. So it's easy to miss that if we are looking for a stage of consciousness or things like that.
Thank you. Well summarized. At this point, I would also like to ask if there is any questions in the audience regarding this awakening. What is awakening, or what could be, or what is the biggest barrier to awakening? So if there are any, just raise your hand, and you can also do it in any other moment of our discussion. But I would really love to also include all of you who are here listening. So if really something pops up, I have a mic here, it's wireless, we can bring it to you and you can just ask questions by raising your hand. Is anything bubbling there at the moment? Doesn't have to be a perfect question. It can be whatever is alive in you now. So just feel whenever that might happen, get that impulse. Hey, I would like to ask this. I didn't quite understand. Or I want a clarification. Just feel free to ask. Already, Pete and Swami, you gave some beautiful teachings or let's say, core principles that can support us in this whole mysterious awakening process. And this would be something that I would also like to ask all of you, if you would need to just choose one instruction, one teaching, what would that be? And I don't refer right now so much to methods, there is so many methods, so many methodology from different traditions, but I would be so keen on hearing, I know it can be a difficult question, but if there would be one instruction, one approach, one principle to follow, what would that be?
For me, the word stop lying to yourself came to mind. So you can only start awakening from where you are. And as human beings, we have a great tendency to lie to ourselves, not to be totally honest. So stop lying to yourself, and for me, stop lying to myself. That is the greatest instruction. And that is not usually easy by yourself. Stop lying without a teacher is really hard. So I would then, my second instruction would be get a teacher. So teacher will help you to see where you are lying, because you are lying in those places where you think you are telling the truth.
So to have a very clean or very clear mirror to those aspects of ourselves that are kind of those blind spots that we do not currently see.
Yeah, a clear mirror that loves you. A very compassionate, loving, clear mirror. Not somebody who will punish you or make you do things. A mirror that will love you no matter what.
I have to say, pretty much on the same line. My wording will be a bit different, as we all have this basic nature, this basic goodness, this basic positivity, the love, the compassion, the unconditional present moment awareness. Everything, keeping that as the mirror and mirroring and understanding and analyzing your behavior so that you're aware when you're actually deviating from that and being open and honest about that. Because the path isn't, the obstacles don't come, well, there are external obstacles, but we're talking about the kind of internal stuff that prevents you from seeing it. And when you have and gain that perspective and understanding that it's all been in you the whole time. Now I'm talking about the dirty stuff and the kind of nasty stuff that you don't want to see. The more you dig into it, the deeper you get. It's not that you're facing it's you're not accumulating it more, but you just become more and more aware of what you have in you. And that also means that the more you process, the closer you get to the unconditional love, to the present moment awareness that actually is there. But the process is actually being brutally honest with yourself and facing all those things that you'd rather hide.
So radical honesty.
In a way, yes, but also compassionate. And it's also geared towards everybody else in your expression and not just towards you.
I think one very valuable thing, when you go into these things, one very, very valuable teaching is that how our mind is constructed. Because everything that happens is an unconscious thing, because the unconscious mind is the most powerful part of our mind. We usually tend to think that this our analytical thinking, reflecting mind is the best tool or sort of the jewel in the crown, but it's just a drop in a massive ocean, and the massive ocean is our unconscious mind. Our unconscious mind always wins. That's the biggest thing. And it's like the moon. You can see a part of the moon, the crescent, but you can't see behind the moon. So the unconscious mind is something that we know we have it, but we don't have a direct contact to it. But that's something, that's the biggest force that moves us, or maybe sometimes moves not. But I think when you think about spiritual practice, you don't think about yoga, you think about tantra, whatever it is, but cultivating that you have a practice that cultivates the unconscious mind. I think that's the most important thing. And in the Kaula system, which I am most familiar with, it's done with asana, pranayama, bandha. That's the traditional way, because your unconscious mind, it really doesn't listen to you. You can't talk to it. It doesn't understand speech. So you have to have a different kind of language to it. You have to structure it differently. And it's usually, traditionally, it's cultivated by these tools. So you need to have your good tools, and you need to have your tools ready.
And when you say cultivating the unconscious, that part of ourselves that we are not currently aware of, does the cultivation in this context mean simply become more aware of it through these different methods? Bring it into awareness?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say more of it that it needs to bring to harmony. And this leads to a question, how and where is the unconscious mind? I would say it's right here. You are looking at my whole experience right now. My whole life story is right here. This is how it looks. This is an image of my mind. So that's why asana, pranayama, and bandha, That's your whole system. That's how you operate. That's how you perceive this world. That's your experience right here. So it's a very good idea to use it as a whole, to bring it into harmony, and then you can see more clearly. Everyone knows when you have the most stressed week, your mind doesn't work. Your mind goes on a loop. You don't even sleep or anything. It just disrupts your whole, how you experience the world. But when you drop all the stress, you get your system in balance. Your mind goes along, because your body and mind it's just one system. So cultivating the harmony, I think that's the very core there. And one more thing that, okay, conscious mind, your metacognition, your reflection, you can think about your thinking. That's a good tool, but you can't use it everywhere. And it's really frustrating if you try to think all these things through. So sometimes it's way better to harmonize your system sort of like bottom up, more than trying to think about it from top down, if you get my idea.
Thank you. So one of your core instructions is to harmonize the totality, to harmonize, the whole system.
Yeah, do your asanas.
Which asana is a good, one of the very many good tools. And what about Swami? What would be one of your core instructions?
I'll take a chance to quote God. So it doesn't mean he's channeling through me right now. I just want to use Holy Scriptures. So it's Bhagavad Gita, which has a lot of amazing instructions, which up to date all the time. And there is extract of the whole scripture. It's chapter 18, verse 66. It says, "Sarva dharma parityaja mamakam sharanam vraja ham tva sarva papibhyo mokshayashaya ma shuchaha." So it means, find refuge at my feet. And this is about humility and surrender. So, and even Jesus was saying, love God first. So if we don't see that there is somebody beyond our individuality or identity, and us as humans, we will never be surrendered and will never let our ego be transformed. So which is actually one of the biggest obstacles on our spiritual path, the false ego. And then he says, remove all the personal perceptions, your so-called dharmas. So it means we have so many different ideas through the experience in the life. Who is God? What is life? What is love? Without even understanding that the mind is so limited that it cannot really comprehend this understanding about infinity, about God, and about universe. So first, be humble, then be open to listen to and change your opinion. Then God says, I will bring you through the life, through all your obstacles, through all problems. It means be in a flow, have a trust, and let God's will happen, but not your personal egoistic will. And in the end, he says, don't doubt and don't be afraid. So it's about faith. So being on spiritual path is very important to be confident, because so many people are shy to be on spiritual path, thinking this is something different, like, from the world, and then people are really afraid to be themselves. But in this verse, God says, be confident, don't be afraid, and don't hesitate. I'll do everything for you, and this is called grace. So we need to be open for divine love, and and let him bring us there.
Surrendering and trust. Thank you, Swami. Would love to hear what you have to say, Vivi.
What I feel to add is one of the core instructions that I find very powerful and direct and potent is turn towards the fear, So experientially dive into the fear. And That's actually something really rare, that we really allow ourselves to experience fear directly. Usually there's tremendous resistance and mind barrier. We go into the mind when the fear really arises in our system, or terror, we go to the mind, and then we perceive it from there. And then we have this very dualistic and almost like schizophrenic experience. So it's possible, if you practice this type of direct presence in the body, like you are really, really grounded in your physicality, and then the fear arises, and you experience it directly, like pure energy, like pure aliveness. Actually, it's just unknown. That's what it is. The mind reacts to the unknown as fear, but the unknown is actually, the deeper truth of what you are. So if you can kind of open up to the fear, it actually is the gateway in this journey of awakening.
To tie these two things together, what you said, Swami, and also what you added, Vivi, to surrendering to what we could call the truth or the divine love or grace, as you put it so beautifully. Also in my own experience, that oftentimes requires what you're pointing to, like to maybe first surrender to what is actually present right now, fear, terror, whatever it might be.
Right, yeah. I want to add to that because I feel that unconditional love, that absolute unconditional love, that pure connectivity, it's on the other side. But you have to go through it. You have to go fully through it. 99% won't do. It has to be 100% surrender. And the fear is the gate. But you have to do it without wanting anything from it. It has to be kind of unconditional like that, but you will be surprised, because nobody can tell you what that absolute love is, but you can experience it directly for yourself.
Anything the rest of you want to add to this, I would say, quite relevant topic of going through the fear, or maybe going through the pain, or going through the terror, to open up to what lies behind?
Well, as a Kundalini Yoga teacher, I'd like to remind all of us that we have a special energy that is made for this process. The human is wired with Kundalini energy, which is in a passive form, coiled in us. And it's an energy that, from the perspective of a human being, it's infinite, it's huge. And that energy is just for going through this gateless gate, with your pain, with your fear, with your terror. So also a good idea would be finding a way how to be in contact with that Kundalini energy. For some of us, it opens spontaneously, but there are very few. But luckily we have really many techniques where we can tap into that source. So I'd like for everyone just to notice that you are capable to go through it because you've been wired with this energy. Your mother, the beautiful mother that birthed you, gave this present to you, and it's in every one of us.
I'm sure there's many ways to define what Kundalini is, and we don't have to go into that discussion right now, but I also like one perspective that I have is that what you refer to as Kundalini is that power of awakened consciousness already in us. And the moment comes when this power wants to awaken to itself or wants to take that process further. Usually that is spontaneous. Maybe it can be facilitated by methods. But what I hear you say, and it also I have the same experience, is that it's already in us, that power of awakening.
Exactly. And I'd maybe like to differentiate in two terms, that we have the evolutionary impulse in us Swami was talking about it. We cannot do anything. It will want to awaken, and that is the impulse that comes. And when the impulse arises, it brings forth the energy that is needed.
I think it's a perfect time to also to mention, I think the biggest, I don't know how to call it in the words, but it's a time to say about the importance of guru in a life on spiritual life and awakening itself, because there's a very nice saying, why fear if I'm here? So the fear and the any kind of emotions, it's called ignorance. So it means that we're not aware of divine love, we're not aware of this inner ever-present state, we're not aware of many things who we truly are, and so on, so on. And when Guru comes in a life, it is also said, it's also evolutional process, because it's not we who find the Guru, but it's Guru who finds us when we are ready. So when the time comes for us to get awoken, and then Guru finds us, like, looking from the top, okay, this one is, let's try with this one, this life, maybe he will manage. So Guru means the one who removes the darkness of the ignorance. So, and the most progress happens when we find a Guru, or he finds us and really help us and support us. If we are lucky, we meet a live Guru in our life. If it's not so, the Gurus made a lot of commentaries to the Holy Scriptures and the traditions are still there. So it means that the role of the Guru really helps in the end of the process of awakening, enlightening, self-realization and God-realization, because we can climb ourselves on the mountain, but to fly, we need his final help. And again, the word grace comes by itself, the grace of Guru and God.
So Swami is pointing to the importance of Guru or a teacher, and there is also a beautiful perspective that has been very enlightening for myself, which is called Guru Tattva, or the principle of Guru, or the awakened awareness. And this is something, Vivi, I would like you to maybe say a few words.
Sure. So me and Gloria will share this background from the non-dual Shaiva Tantra, from the tradition of Kashmir Shivaism. And there they have this very beautiful and powerful way to understand the Guru as a kind of principle, as a kind of blessing principle that moves through this whole manifested reality in various ways, right? So it's this teaching principle and a blessing principle. And it can manifest in the form of a human teacher, but it can manifest in any kind of form, It can manifest through our friends, it can manifest through our enemies, if we have any, We can go to the nature, and a lightning bolt can be our teacher, or a wind in a tree. So anything can be a vehicle for the Guru Tattva, or the Guru principle, because this unconditional blessing energy is all the time moving through. It's like rivers and rivers and rivers of blessing energy. And we are constantly being given the possibility to participate to that. So it's just about being open to grace and also open to find it from the most unexpected places sometimes.
And just as a very light comment to add, very often times I feel that the Guru Tattva is flowing amazingly through my two chihuahuas that I love more than almost anything else in the manifestation.
That was a very valuable thing what you said. If I may continue and maybe expand or maybe simplify more. I think that if we take the world view of yoga, that everything is consciousness, if we take it seriously, then I think this guru aspect, guru means a teacher, pretty much. So maybe we could think of guru as like an aspect of the consciousness which lets us learn things, realize things. Like you said, it's everywhere. It's not just one person. It's an aspect of consciousness. And then maybe going back to fears, I think fears are just things that we don't know. And we could call it avidya, ignorance, or not knowing, but a good translation is also fear. And why we have fear, I think then we can think about our identity and the stories we tell of ourselves, and and dropping all the stories. That's a key point going forward on your path.
Anything one of you still would like to add upon the topic of teacher, guru, or the teaching blessing principle? At this point, it would be so nice if any one of you who are sitting and listening, if there is anything that you have in mind, anything you would want to add, comment, say, just, we are all here together discussing this topic, please.
Hello, Satnam. My name is Charampal Singh. Nice to see you all there. I come from Kehto School, and I want to thank you all. It's a precious thing that we can talk anything like this, and we can, I see it like non-dogmatically talk about this. We have different points of view, and there's no war, at least not yet. So I appreciate that. I myself, about the Guru, I've been in the Kundalini Yoga tradition for 20 years, and the Guru has been like a most important thing. And a bit over a year ago, I got a brain hemorrhage and brain damage. And I never thought about it, and now when you talk here, I see that, okay, this is the Guru for me now. It's not anywhere else. It's in the condition that we all are at the moment. And thank you for organizing all this happening an event, and it's not easy. And on these times, it's so highly appreciated. And last thing I say is maybe there's no right or wrong. Maybe it's just what it is. And the valuable thing is that we explore it. So thank you very much, Satna.
I noticed I got very touched when you were sharing. It's something really beautiful what you said, that the teaching, the teacher is present right now, is in the conditions where we find ourselves. And it also ties to what we were discussing earlier, that the obstacles are the path. The obstacles are the way, or what we could say, call as obstacles, are just exactly what is right now. Is there anything else some of you would like to say, comment, add, share? It really can be anything. It would just be so nice that, we are not just here on a high chair saying something, but that, we can talk about these topics together. Anything you would want to ask of any of our speakers before we come towards closing this panel discussion for today? Please.
Hello. I would like to ask, what is different now, before, after awakening, and have you any idea what is gonna be different maybe after 10 years from now?
So any of you who would like to answer, what is different after awakening? And what might be different in 10 years from now?
I just will answer with the proverb. It's a very nice saying. Before enlightenment, cut the wood, bring the water. After enlightenment, cut the wood, bring the water. So actually, even you don't notice much, because again, it was said that this is very so natural original state of all of us, that many changes are happening, but you might not recognize them. But people do recognize. And sometimes people ask, how can you really say that you are really progressing on your spiritual path? And I have just two answers, very common. If you become more humble, and it means that you accept the things happening, like surrender, because we're always defending, like, reacting, yeah. And the second one is if you're becoming more loving. So, but to love, not just to have a feeling to hug everyone or like, to shake the hands or kiss or something like this, but to give a presence. It's about not to judge, first of all, like, to see everyone like a part of you and you as a part of everything. So then you can see that it's really, really something happening on your spiritual path.
I need to turn it on. So for me, when I had kind of saw through the illusion of a solid self, I noticed that this kind of causer of friction between me and the interactions between fellow beings just like kind of fell away. And well, there was a question about the time frame. I noticed also, like with further shifts, that my behavioral patterns changed, like in small, subtle ways. Confrontations where I would have been reactive previously, I noticed that, my God, I didn't react in that way anymore. So kind of life became easy, and it becomes more easy to be compassionate towards yourself and towards everybody else as well. So it's not that it happens over one night, it's gradual, like the kind of development keeps on and on and on. And I actually think there is an end to it, kind of once you've extinguished all those karmas and traumas and everything from your mind, where you can actually speak from a place where there is no confusion. I'm not projecting anything. I'm taking everything fully, purely in being in the present moment. It takes time. There's methods. But that's my end goal. So that's where I hope to be.
Yes. Sadly and gladly, not much changes. Yeah. And then again, everything changes. And then it goes back again. But as the awakening or realization stabilizes, there are a few things you might notice. One might be a profound shift in values. So your values really change and you cannot do anything about it. Something that would be prior to a stabilized awakening would be giving up. It's not giving up anymore. It's just you want to devote your life to certain things. For instance, you want to be of service and you cannot do anything. It just happens. And then another thing would be this inner peace. So as the awakening stabilizes, strange inner peace descends in many situations where you shouldn't be peaceful at all, and then you are. I have a few examples, like one time I was in a very close by car accident. A trailer fell out of the car that I was behind on a freeway. And then suddenly the peace just descended. That, okay, is this it? But then the peace opened a totally new time frame. And I had all these times to make decisions, where to pass the car, where to go. And I had my children with me, and I was just singing and breathing and making those decisions. So that is quite nice, that strange inner peace. But you can't make it happen. It comes when it likes to come.
That's a good question. What has changed in the past years. Maybe I think I had way more excuses in the past to do things. I'm looking at my family here, and I definitely had excuses not to have kids, and there they are. I'm very happy about that. And in 10 years, they're going to be older, and maybe there's more. That's going to be the change in the time frame. But yeah, I think not to be reactive, be more creative, like express from another place. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think there's two ways to answer. You know, if something changes externally or if something changes internally. So I'll answer first the external changes, which is that we can't really know what the awakening is going to do to our life. So for some people, maybe nothing changes. You know, maybe nothing changes in your exterior life conditions, but only thing that changes is that which is looking through the eyes, right? It's just shift at the identity level. But for some people, there can be this total cataclysmic kind of death and rebirth process where your external life also collapses. Like for me personally, it was like that. My whole life was kind of shattered and wiped out almost completely. And yeah, we can't really know. But it's going to be good in whatever way it is. It has this innate goodness and brightness to it. So you can trust that. Anything that is not aligned with your, you know, life path will fall away, and because it's not something that is authentic for you. After awakening, it's not really possible anymore to engage in something which is, you know, it doesn't feel authentic. And yeah, about the inner change, like it was already mentioned here, it's kind of like the weird paradox that everything changes and nothing changes, and it's hard to explain, but it's kind of like it's exactly the same phenomena can rise like previously, but it's just experienced very differently because well, there's no division, there's no subject and object, for example, at least in the deeper stages of awakening. There's literally no sense of I and the world as two different things. There's no sense of me and you, you know, as two different things. There's no sense of a solid object. There's no any sense of solid reality. There's no solid self. So, but at the same time, this human experience is here. It doesn't disappear. We just experience it very differently. It's like this infinite vastness is actually all the time moving into being and experiencing itself and exploring itself through this human consciousness. So it's something like that, yeah.
I think that was a beautiful way to sum this question and also this panel. First of all, I just want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for joining this discussion. Yeah, I don't really have words for that right now, but I feel very touched. And I think it's so beautiful that we can have these moments together and we can discuss these topics. Like it was also said from the audience, all different perspectives coming together in this kind of way touches me deeply. I want to thank the audience for staying here with us at this panel and creating this context in which we can have this experience together.
Meditations, Bhagavad Gita, translated into Finnish language with commentaries of Paramahamsa Vishwananda. It's amazing. It's beyond any culture, tradition, or religion. It's just a life book. So yeah, and feel free, you can Google Bhakti Marg and find more about us and our Guru Paramahamsa Vishwananda. Thank you very much. It was amazing. Kiitos.